All right, we want to acknowledge that there is a lot going on in the world. We stand with Minnesota, Minneapolis. And with that being said, we are going to get started with week 7 of What Did Prince Do This Week? And if you were a little confused, that means that you don't know your madhouse. All right, so let's look and see what's going on in the chat first. We got Cassandra Bradley first in the chat. Sing Happy Valentine's Day. Madhouse is my Valentine's song. Yeah, there you go.
I don't know why I thought Valentine's Day was like yesterday, but it's today.
It's today. Michael,
you know it is because it was school. So for the kids, they had to do the Valentine's. So I was so focused on it yesterday. I was wondering my mom was like, "Happy Valentine's."
You know what the coolest thing is for me is that I'm married to a woman who is less interested in Valentine's Day than I am. So it's like, yeah. So it's like I got like a free. Like I remember when we first started dating, I got her like some flowers and some chocolates and whatnot, and she looked at them flowers like, "This gonna die in 3 days, player. What is?
Where's my ring?
Right.
Diamonds.
Like don't go for free. You say could have cared less about some flowers. Like she walks. Hey man, don't ever buy me no more flowers. Don't ever.
Oh wow.
She sees flowers as like the greatest waste of money ever. So yeah, I'm lucky to have be connected to a woman that Valentine's Day means absolutely nothing.
All right. This is one of my favorite songs, so it's going to be hard for me to connect right now. All right. Okay.
Can you imagine being in a session where they were doing it?
Oh my God. Whoa. Oh my God. Just make me a fly. I would love to have been a fly.
I'm like, you're not singing on this? This is crazy.
It is crazy. The energy in this song is just so fantastic. And Prince's drum playing.
Let that man cook. The funky drummer.
Okay. Although then we got the little piano thing going on. All right.
Hey.
This is where you can get your.
There you go. We about to turn into the kids on the Peanuts.
Okay. I can't stop. And then Eric comes in.
This right here. And then the little.
That's what it is. There you go.
Then you see the young lady over there? Valentine's Day for the flowers. You don't know. You said yes. Got the number.
You, Brother Dean. Who invented that?
What's that?
Who invented?
That's a good question.
When I tell you, the first person who literally did that on television that was stolen, Frank Sinatra stole it because later it became the old white guy joke, right? Right? Nat King Cole.
Really?
Wow.
Nat King Cole was the first super cool porner. He had a television show, and of course they wouldn't show it in the South. So
Wow.
whenever I always tell people that when you see the, because then after Nat King Cole, you get all the Mac, thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for coming out. Good to
Yeah.
see you. That's all Nat King Cole. That is
Wow.
all. That's why he was king. He was Nat. He was the king of cool. He was Nat King. I think a lot of people forget. Like I think a lot of people actually think his middle name is King, so they don't know that. No. That was a title. He was the king of cool, Nat King Cole. So yeah,
that's headbuster information right there.
Yeah, that's so the whole cat. I ain't gonna say he was the beginner of swag and swab, but he was like one of them, the first dudes to bring that hood swab to the
Yeah.
You know. All right, that's it.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
All right. So I am remiss in my duties, but I mean, the music just took over. So happy Valentine's Day to all of our What Did Prince Do This Week listeners. I'm so sorry we didn't do the roll call verbally, but we put it on the chat. And I just got to take a moment to second this. Jill Scott's album is amazing.
Disclaimer.
Yes. If you haven't heard it, you gotta run. It is so amazing. So thank you so much. I'm so sad for being here from the start and watching it in real time. And we got to give a to Love Sexy 71. My literature brother is here. I love this. I'm so sad it's watching without the volume, so they were just seeing our head pop. And let's see, Deja saying tomorrow will be the 10th anniversary of Vanity's passing. Thank you so much for that.
What's up, Deja?
Yes, and we started off with a little Vanity moaning. So there we go. We're connecting like we got to always make sure that we give reverence to the one and only Vanity. And I love this. Dancing to Prince, and I see a sunlight heart on my ceiling just a minute ago. Grateful to be here. We're so happy that you're here, Purple Cat Confetti.
That thumbnail.
Yes. Also very on point, parade era Prince in the yellow suit.
Mm-hmm. That's, man, that just went back to that picture for a second. I'm sorry. Like that part, I just remember, sort of after the Purple Rain stuff and Around the World in a Day when it sort of shifts into this, and we hadn't really seen him visually a lot. And I just remember seeing pictures like that. I was like, yo, this guy has fun. Like, I just didn't expect him to do something like that. And I just remember, I think it was the Sheila E. Love Bizarre performance.
Yeah.
And he kind of does this real goofy. I was just like, I was like, I love this guy. Like, okay. That was one of the things I just sort of fall in love with. Start to fall in love with. And I'll say that the last thing is just that when he does the walk.
Right.
When they turn it around the stage and you go to the bridge and he just kind of steps from like where the drum is and just sort of walks toward the microphone. To me, as a kid, it just blew my mind. I was like, this dude, this is badass. And he's smiling. I was like, But anyway.
No, I feel it. I feel it. This is like, for me, Happy Prince. And Happy Prince is my favorite Prince, for sure.
And it's funny because as much as I give a lot of poking the bear about the Sheridan, Wyoming thing, right? The moment when he gets off the plane and just so suave and cool, and then when he takes off the jacket and goes and throws it, like you said, it was just seeing like one happy, normal, but still the coolest dude. In the room. So yeah, and him telling the joke later, Martha Quinn, like, how you feel, Prince? I feel my hands like I always do, Martha, right? Which was actually like an old Three Stooges joke. I remember remembering this. Yeah, so it's like you're just seeing him in that kind of cool, kind of swabbed out form. Yeah, I'm with you. So I said.
I really want to point out this comment from Stephanie, because Stephanie's schooling me. I didn't realize that Prince's mom, Maddie, and Vanity transitioned on the same date.
Oh, wow.
So that's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that tidbit, Stephanie, because I was not aware of that. And that's the reason why I love our community. So, because I'm constantly learning stuff. Like, I didn't know that Nat King Cole was the one. Now I know. So, and oh yes, the wooden leg. The wooden leg. Carolina DJ is all about the wooden leg. It never gets old, no matter how many times I see.
Shot.
Prince points, and then they do their
Time again.
The Minneapolis diss tracks.
Right.
They make dances on each other. Damn.
And I love this. It says, "It isn't I'm so sad. Our initials, I'm really happy." Okay. So should I say IMSOXAAIAD? I could do that because I want to shout you out. So we got Rockabosh in the house.
Rockabosh. Can I just say what's up? Man, I've been doing this podcast thing for a long time. And Rocka, man, he was one of the OGs of like showing me like he was listening and stuff. Actually, remember they had Rock on the show one time. I'm not gonna say what happened because but yeah, salute to you, man. I've 10 plus years I've noticed your name, know you. So just telling you, man, I love you. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, we love that. And we got Blue Misty 650. I feel that because before I was a Prince fan, he was described to me as a sexual robot. That's a really interesting comment. And I think that's the reason why it's important to become immersed in all eras of Prince, because there's so many different Princes. There's not just like one Prince, like a lot of just the general public seems to think. And how do we feel about this? Cool to see I Would Die for You being used for Operation Hail Mary film trailer. I will say that my best friend who lives in Japan sent me an email and he was clutching his pearls because he was like, the horror. So I'm assuming, Mike, you haven't heard this yet?
I heard of it, but I have not seen that trailer. Okay. I'm kind of staying away from watching the trailer on this movie because I want to enjoy this movie without the spoilers.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of how I would feel about it, I mean, I don't know how it was used, but I mean, to me, it's like sort of a natural progression of what they use Purple Rain and Stranger Things. So, I mean, his music is going to be out there in pop culture. I think that's how I fell in love with a lot of the people that I like Sly Stone, for instance. I would hear these songs through pop culture references and movies and TV shows, and that's how I knew the songs. And I realized, oh, that's Sly. I was like, I love this song. So if that happens with people with Prince 20, 30 years, okay.
So I must not have been paying attention because I think I saw a trailer for Hail Mary, but I wasn't listening to the music because I think one of the things for me with trailers is I'm always trying to figure out. Sometimes those trailers make it difficult to know the damn movie about. So I'm always like, okay, now what this movie's about? So maybe that's what it was. So I got to go back now and find it because I saw the Hail Mary at least one, and also now they make like multiple trailers for movies now. Like it used to be you had the one trailer, but now you'll see 2 or 3 different trailers.
And with this one, the first trailer, which I saw, I didn't have any Prince music, so I'm thinking there must be there's a new trailer.
All right, there we go. So I gotta go find the one with the trailer. And just when my man put Mutiny in there, kind of an ode to Prof Duff and her Rehearsals. I will say that breakdown, how much is that dog in the window, DMSR, all of that. I used to like get to that part and I would just play that section like over and over. Yeah. I thought that was the funkiest thing. Yeah, exactly. I was like, you'll be like, oh my God. And then when you dancing to it, oh my God, that was like that little minute break. No, not more minute, but like 3 or 4 minute breakdown from the DMSR all the way through. Just like, oh my God, right?
He's killing him.
Yeah, so I thought about that, the way you kind of like you get into the groove on the Rehearsals, and it reminded me, like I said, I would just play that all day. All right, that's it.
So going back to this Hail Mary thing and like the Stranger Things, I didn't see either. I mean, I watched the video, I watched the trailer because my friend was so up in arms. But I'm assuming in Stranger Things they just played the song straight. But in this trailer, they like kind of took the stems of the vocals and put it behind what I call blockbuster music. So it's not like the song verbatim. It's like this. So once you see the film, I would love for you to watch the trailer to let me know how you feel about it.
I attempted to read that book many years ago, but I just forgot about it. But I know it's a very popular novel. like very popular. Was it the guy who wrote The Martian? I think.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
Yeah, he's had a couple of. I want to say that first book was self-published too, but
I thought that The Martian was also self-published originally.
that's what I mean. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
I think that was the first
That
one.
was the first one. Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I heard that too,
Yeah.
for sure. All right, so Kim is in the house, so we gotta get this cracking. We gotta get finished with our housekeeping. And we are going week to week, not date to date. And we are week 7. Oops, I forgot to change that number. I haven't changed it in a couple weeks because it says 5, but at least I've moved my yellow down. So we're going to be reading Sunday, February 9th to Thursday, February 13th. So for those of you who like to read along, now is the time to open and crack those books open. We are starting at Sunday, February 9th, 1986. All right. And you can see the schedule in between our dates at the bit.ly/Prince Book Club. And you do not need the paperback, but this is what we're reading. Yeah, because it has the most updated info. And I gotta stop singing. Some folks don't like that. All right, and then we have these archived at Polish Solid as well as at MDean. As Ricky would say, as you come on in, please hit that like button as you come on in. Please like us or subscribe and turn on the notifications. It doesn't matter, at Polish Solid or at MDean, your drink of choice on this Valentine's Day. And then we have our hashtag WDPDTW, and the estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series. This is an independent endeavor. And our community guidelines are: we choose to be a community even when we disagree. And we got a message from Ted saying that on today, he might go Team Arms of Orion for today. So we started off the hour with one of the most amazing songs Prince has ever recorded, Madhouse 7. And if you didn't like it, hopefully you noticed that I loves it. And so, as you should know, especially for Madhouse 8, the only 2 people on this track were Prince. So Prince was playing those drums, man, playing the drums. And we had Eric Leeds on the saxophone. So really, really, really love this. And there was a live appearance from Park Cafe, Munich, Germany. Okay, so again, week 7, episode 159 of What Did Prince Do This Week. We are creeping to 200. And we're supposed to do something special for 200. I don't know if we're going to do it. And then we have
Sexy cover.
Yeah, sexy. Celine's going to do it for us.
Boy, that would be a cold opening, boy. All of us butt ass naked. Let's hit the dark web.
Oh my God. Okay. And then this week we have 2 studio sessions and some other stuff. So let's look at
they can't see that.
Yeah, we can't see it. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited thinking about episode 200 and C. Lee. All right. So we got February.
Pause. Lord, that slipped out.
You know what? You know what's gonna say it? Somebody gonna show up with some popcorn on that day. Hey, he supposed to get naked.
Yeah, what's my man on Twitter?
He supposed to be naked.
Baron or something like that.
Yes, Baron.
Baron, go ahead and make a clip of that, boy. That's the clip right there.
There he is in the chat. Ted Talks Base.
Yeah, that's the clip.
Oh, did you change your mind already? You're so
well, just know, Mr. Ted Talks Base, that as you wander the universe, you are safely caressed in the arms of Orion, brother. Just know that no matter where you go, the arms of Orion are wide enough
Lord.
to hold you in your moment. There we go. All right.
There you go, man. That would be a cold. You go into a church and you're listening to the sermon, and he's actually doing Prince lyrics like the Arms of Orion. That would be crazy. Wait a minute.
Was it? And I always get them mixed up. I know I shouldn't because I've been listening to their music for years. BB and CC. Which one is the male?
Wow.
So,
I want to say BB is the young lady.
Okay,
I
so
want to say.
CC talked about, this was right, and I gotta go find it. CC talked about when
Again, a man
when Prince passed. CC said that since they could, okay, so BB is the male. Okay,
BB.
So BB said
BB is the male.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So BB said that when, like I said, I love their music. I ain't gonna lie, I love their music. I grew up on their music. Grew up on the Winans music. So BB is the brother. Okay, cool. So BB said that because they couldn't listen to secular music, they would take sometimes secular songs and change the lyrics. And he said one of the ones that they loved doing was Latter Rain. So he would he would change the lyrics, the Prince songs to make them yeah, I know I feel bad. As long as I've been listening
here's
to
mine.
As long as I've been listening to the Winans, I should know because I grew up on the Winans. But yeah, that's hilarious that he would do that in Prince Ladder. He said instead of saying Purple Rain, they would sing Latter Rain. All right, that's it.
All right, okay.
Tim.
Okay. All right. So what did Prince do this week? So on Sunday, he did a duet with his dad, and everybody should know, but in case you don't, and that's okay, it's John L. Nelson. I would love to hear this duet with his dad. And then on Monday, we have Kiss, overdubs, something, mixes, vocals, mixes, and a copy. And then we have multiple cues for the Under the Cherry Moon score tracked. And I didn't count that as a tracking because Duane wasn't sure exactly which songs were tracked, so I didn't count them. Then on Tuesday, Wednesday, there's a rehearsal for the Kiss video shoot. So you can for there to be rehearsals.
I'm trying to what was he rehearsing?
Right.
Well,
there are a few choreographed moves in it. You got to get the bodies in sync.
Yeah, and then there's Wendy, and then then there's the dancer. I don't know.
And at that age, when I was 16, I understand how you had to get that body in sync. That video, when I was 16, I said, who is that?
Okay, I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but we're all over the place today because that's how we roll on What Did Pursue This Week. If you haven't noticed, I wish Kim wasn't here today because we're just showing out, but we're going to do it anyway. All right, so you know how I talked about I love this era for the aesthetics of black and white, and when it came to Another Lover. Hole in Your Head. I didn't like the cover of the 12-inch because it's out of sync with all of the other covers. And whenever I see and another reason why I feel like Kiss does not belong in this era, it's because of the video. The video is in color, and it's just, for me, it doesn't really fit the aesthetic of the entire Under the Cherry Moon Parade era. So it was never one of my favorite videos because you have to understand, I'm a designer by trade, and I'm all about, I tell my students you need to be consistently consistent or consistently inconsistent. And when you are inconsistent, it just jumps out like crazy. So that happened with me with the Kiss video. So even in real time, as a little person, I was like, this don't match. And I don't like it. So
okay.
I'm curious, how did the Kiss video fit for you within the Parade Under the Cherry Moon visual ecosystem?
Looking, I can see from what you're saying, definitely. Yeah, because it is in color. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. I will say this. At the time, in real time, I was so fascinated and maybe low-key obsessed just visually how he looked. Because before this, we was I guess we had America, but even more so it was Raspberry Beret. And just not seeing enough of Prince back then, it would just be so rare to see him. So he would just look so drastically different, and just his mannerisms were so different from Syracuse and the things that I was sort of studying. So I was just blown away. I was just like, this is a whole different dude. Like I couldn't, I was just like, God, what has he got on? That shit is crazy. And then his hair, the hair was a big thing. I was the dude, and I'm gonna do a video about this. I was the dude that, so if Michael had a Jerry curl, I went and got a Jerry curl. When I seen Prince with his, I didn't know what it was, but I had to get my hair to be like that. So I see Under the Cherry Moon, I'm like, oh, that's the next way. Okay, yeah, that's it. So I was just so blown away, just the aesthetic of it and just the way he was moving. And it was just so that's what I was stuck on that part.
Yeah. And I guess, like I said, the color didn't bother me. Again, it was, to me, it was really kind of seen. So it's funny hearing your take on it, because I get your take on it. But for me, that was a great transition from Raspberry Beret to America to Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And I even have to sometimes now have to remind myself, no, America's on Around the World in a Day.
Right.
Because he's kind of, when you look at the video, he's kind of already transitioned to Parade and Under the Cherry Moon. So, and also I think I love the song so much. I love it. Again, by this time we know Prince is going to always be different. So I think my love of the song, my love of the fact we kept getting a new Prince, it was, and I do remember I had a cousin, my cousin John, who was so in love. Again, John was along with the ride before Purple Rain, but I never forget when he saw the Kiss video, and this gonna date myself, and so some people not gonna be old enough to understand. My cousin was like, what's this Denny Terrio shit? Right? That was his first. Now, some people in the chat ain't gonna know who Denny Terrio is, right? But that was like the first thing my cousin John thought, like, why don't you put that movie like Denny Terrio? So, do your Googles, as Brother Dean would say, to know who Denny Terrio was. But so it was a lot more seamless for me. But then again, I don't have a graphic designer's eye. Things you saying like be consistent or be consistently inconsistent. There we go, TP. Dance Fever. There you go.
I totally forgot about that.
See, everybody like Dance Fever, right? So
that was American Idol to me.
Yeah, it was. The Dance Fever was the American Idol of his time. So I think I just love the song so much. And then, as we talked about about a month or so ago, the lyrics really resonated for me. And the lyrics got me so ready for the film. That's how it fit for me, that the lyrics and the new look kind of got me in there. So that's it.
I just wanted to add, somebody was mentioning this. I think, like I said, I can definitely understand D'Angelo, perspective that you have on that. And I almost think, I'm trying to remember, was I more so like, I've seen the video before I saw the movie. If I was sort of more expecting the movie to be in color, I guess, just from watching the video so much, yeah, that's interesting. Because now, when I think about the album, I spent a lot of time looking at the inner sleeve of that album, which was such a wow, just remarkable. Yeah, just the way the pictures, the color, I mean, the tone of the contrast of the blacks and everything. You make a great point, though. I guess I'm trying to say it is a fascinating. You could look at it either way, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. So, Duke Swan had put in the chat, but Kiss was the first video, and another also in color. But I'm sure that I read in real time. I know everybody. I'm sure it was advertised that Under the Cherry Moon was in black and white, and then you have the cover of Kiss, which I need to go back and look at the dates. I would assume that the single's already out. So the single came out before the video came out. And another thing you have to take in consideration for me, when I think of this era, I think of Under the Cherry Moon first. And I rarely think about Parade as an album. I always think of Parade as an extension of Under the Cherry Moon. And so everything for me is colored in black and white because of Under the Cherry Moon. So, but I think it would have been interesting. Oh, and then somebody else put in the chat, I can't remember who said it, but Theo said, I feel like the video would be kind of flat if it were in black and white to fit the under the cherry moon aesthetic. I'm not talking about taking the video as it is and making it black and white, because I don't know, it's just, even if you were to do that, I still feel like it wouldn't fit the aesthetic. Like, when I think of this era, at the end of is it at the end of the Girls and Boys video where the whole band
Right.
and Prince is in the chair and they're laughing and stuff, like that whole
Prince goes boo.
Yeah.
And
Like
plus, that's shot at the movie. That's shot on the set with the movie in that time. So I think, it definitely fits.
Yeah.
Aesthetic. Whereas this video is obviously shot probably in LA or whatever.
Yeah.
Soundstage. Sure. It's a totally different tone and feel. You're right. Which I would argue it was probably the smart play, just from a commercial perspective, because I don't know if the general audience would have really taken, like Theo was saying, I don't know if the general audience would have took to seeing a Kiss video that was pulled out of that movie,
right, and
presented to them versus a vibrant, colorful thing. Though I think it would fit what he's trying to do better, but I don't know if that would have. Yeah, I would be interested to see what would happen.
So Edgar to the rescue. And for those of you who don't know, Edgar is also a designer. So designer to designer, he understands what I'm trying to say. It's just, I hate that most videos don't tie in with the movie. I think the movie would have been more successful if the videos were more consistent, all in black and white. And I would go one step further and say if they had the aesthetic of the film like it is in the Girls and Boys. But that's just me. And I'll stop my rant. Okay, so we are going to start with our first reading. Who wants to read about the Duet with Dad, Sunday, February 9th?
Duet with Dad, I'll start.
Okay, and when you get tired, because it's a long one, let me know.
All right, Duet with Dad, working title, also listed as Sunday Afternoon. Overdubs, mix, copies. Sunset Sound, Studio 3, 2:30 p.m., 4:30 p.m., booked, not listed. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Coke Johnson. Quote from Prince, the lyrics my father and I wrote are similar. The same thing. Our personalities are a lot alike, but his music is like nothing I've ever done before. It's more complex. A lot of beautiful melodies are hidden beneath the complexity. That's why we work so well together. My melodies are a little different from the way he does them. I'm a little stricter with melody. Prince. Wow, I find that fascinating. For 2 years, Prince's father, John L. Nelson, had been back in his life. After a long period of distance, they found communication with each other on a musical level and apparently inspired each other. Prince's music started to change when John L. came into the fold, observed Joe Jones. Prince's dad could play the most intricate chord structures, and Prince started working on his chops more. It was nice to see them together. Prince was very generous with his father, offering him support and pushing his dad to do new music. At the same time, John L.'s presence pushed Prince as well. He practiced more and started including beautiful orchestrations and Claire Fisher strings. Despite the newly established connection they'd shared, Prince's relationship with his father was always complicated. There was love, but at the same time, there was a strained history that was still healing. It was really hard for my father to show emotion, Prince explained to Neil Carlin in 1985. He never says, I love you. And when we hung or something, we when we hug or something, we bang our heads together like in some Charlie Chaplin movie. But a while ago, he was telling me how I always had to be careful. My father told me, if anything happens to you, I'm gone. All I thought at first was that it was a real nice thing to say. But then I thought about it and for a while and realized something. That was my father's way of saying, I love you. Many people try to relate John L. Nelson with the kid's father in Purple Rain, but he wasn't entirely based on Prince's dad. There were elements of him in there, but the role was established for dramatic effect. We use parts of my past and present to make the story pop more, according to Prince, but it was a story. My dad wouldn't have my dad wouldn't have nothing to do with guns. He never swore, still doesn't, and never drinks. He had a lot of reverence for his father, reflected Wendy. Lisa detailed how Prince would react when his father would visit the warehouse. If his dad came to a rehearsal, we'd have a wait, we'd have to not cuss, and some of the songs we weren't even allowed to sing. We would accidentally be like sings, "Oh motherfucker," and then oops. Remember, we're not singing in this run through because Dad's here. Wow. Prince's memories of his father could be seen by some as abusive, but there were times that he found humor in their history during sessions like this one, according to Todd Harriman, who would soon become his Fairlight tech. Am I reading this?
Yes.
All right. We were all having a conversation in the studio, and Prince just stopped talking mid sentence, and and we're like waiting and waiting for the rest of the sentence to come out, and then he just started laughing, and it's like, what's so funny? And he said it reminded him of something that happened when he was a kid, and he was in the car with his dad. So he tells the story of when he was younger, and his dad is driving, and Prince is sitting in the passenger seat, and his dad is talking, and Prince stops mid sentence. Oh, and his dad stops mid sentence, and Prince is like waiting for the rest of the sentence and waiting and waiting. So finally, Prince says, "Are you going to finish the sentence, Dad?" Or something like that. And his dad smacks him and says, "Shut up, boy! Can't you see Can't you see I'm talking?" And Prince remembered that in the control room when he stopped mid sentence, and he just cracked up. It was just one of those funny moments. Although it may be easy to describe his relationship with his father as rough, Prince saw it differently. Excuse me. I wouldn't call it rough. He was a very strict disciplinarian, but all fathers were. I learned the difference between right and wrong, so I don't consider it so rough. This brief 2 hour session involved Prince and his father playing together, John L. on piano, and Prince switching between guitar and bass. They were just jamming, remembers Coke Johnson. It wasn't anything that got released or anything like that. A single C60 cassette was made of the session. Status. The multiple tracks known as Duet with Dad, which has also been listed as Sunday Afternoon, remained unreleased during Prince's lifetime. The songs were named as such because they were recorded on a Sunday afternoon and are likely unrelated to Sunday Afternoon, a track Prince wrote for Candy Dulfer. And just a quick estate moment. Stuff like this could be delicate, but it would be very dope if it was like on a Father's Day and they just put this out just as a respect to the fathers and to Prince. I would not be mad at that, but I thought this is one of the better things I've read in this book. Just yeah, it was great.
That's a great idea.
Mm.
And I liked, everybody played their part, everybody contributed, but I really like that this passage shows us John L's influence on Prince. Because, you hear a lot of things about, well, such and such introduced this to Prince, and such and such, and just like, his daddy was a badass jazz musician. Like, there are a lot of things that when people say, well, Prince didn't know this until the Prince didn't know that, I'm like, I'm not trying to call cap. I'm not trying to say, I'm just saying that it just strikes me that Prince's dad was noted for being one hell of a musician. Like, it ain't just Prince's dad telling you that, right? You get Andre telling you that. You get Jimmy Jam's father talking about that, right? You get all these people talking about, hell, Andre's dad and Prince's dad played in a band together. So I just find it difficult that Prince was this kind of blank canvas that a lot of people painted in or poured into. And that, so I like that we're getting this. And then I'll just end on to not make it, because I know this can be a touchy subject, but, I've never, how I want to say this. I'm glad that they make the distinction between, because I think too many people walk from or leave Purple Rain with that's a biopic. Purple Rain is not a biopic, right? But Purple Rain is not a biopic, right? It is a movie based and rooted in some elements, right? If we go back to Prince's autobiography, where we have dreams and we know about dreams, we know all of it. So yes, Prince, like anybody, was pulling from his own personal situation, but Purple Rain, that is not John Nelson. And I do think that when we're talking about fathers and fathers being present, and I'll just say that things that are considered abusive today just weren't considered abuse. I got spankings, I got whippings, and in my account, my mother was the whooper. Like my father would tease my mother. My father would say to my mother, "So let me get this straight. The boy's punishment for fighting is you're gonna whip him." Like my mother hated me to fight, but she would punish me for fighting by whipping me. Right? That was always so. But so I just think that I'm not gonna say he got necessarily a bad rap. I just think that we have to be a little bit more nuanced when we're talking about John L. Nelson's relationship with his son, and stop trying to make it this black and white. Yes, silent generation, right? So kind of stop making it this black and white. He was this abusive dude that scarred Prince for the rest of his life. Because if you do, you're missing who Prince is, and you're missing the relationship that they had. All right, I'll shut up.
So one of the things I want to say, and I talked about this last year, and the reason why I'm bringing it up again, it had a huge impact on my framing of John L. and Prince's life. So I mentioned last year that I watched the 3 or 4 part Dale Earnhardt documentary.
Right.
And the entire time, I kid you not, the entire time I was thinking about Prince while watching Dale Earnhardt. And I always knew that John L. was like a force in Prince's life, but it wasn't until this documentary that, because I am a female, I identify as female, and how a son can be driven by the wanting of approval of their father was just so
right
driven home in that documentary. It was crazy because it wasn't just Dale Earnhardt Jr. to Dale Earnhardt, but it was Dale Earnhardt to his father, who was also a race car driver. So it was like even generational, which was crazy. And so I say all this to say, I honestly don't think Prince would have become Prince without John L.'s presence in his life. And more specifically, that John L. was a musician. And even with the words that we've read this week, you can hear that Prince really revered his father as a musician. And I can, and even like during the piano and the mic sessions when he was talking about his dad, I think he wanted to play the piano like his dad as a little person.
Yeah.
And how that really drove him to become, like, in my personal opinion, the best musician who has ever lived on the planet. And we owe a lot of that to John L.
Absolutely.
So, no, I don't think John L. gets the love that he should get in making Prince who Prince is.
Yep.
I've said this before. I think the only regret that I have for our project not being finished was the way in which Prince talked about his father to me. That's probably one of my biggest regrets and he talked about Michael's father. And I remember he specifically said that people like to paint Joe. These are his words. He said, people like to paint Joe Jackson a specific way. When Gary, Indiana was one of the first dangerous hoods in America, and that man got his children. And then he looked at me and he said, my father would play something on the piano and tell me to play it. And then I would play it and he would push me or nudge me. And people would look at that as abuse. But he made me the musician I am today.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's, and so for me, when I talk about that book not coming out, that part for me about him talking about, because I don't think we have any other where Prince talked about Joe Jackson, right? Not Michael Jackson. He talks about Joe Jackson, then he relates Joe Jackson to his father. And that for me, when I think about, man, when I think about the few regrets I have, it's because to him he talks a little bit more about fatherhood and the kind of father he hoped to be. So yeah, I'm glad you can. So and she's right. So if you haven't seen that documentary, that Earhart documentary, it's great just for that, about the influence and impact that fathers have on sons. And when you recommended it to me, and then I went and watched it, and then we had to talk about it. Like I was like, yeah, I really think people should watch that, and it'll help them kind of reframe things. I'll shut up.
Just to add, so if you think about that, and you think about both of these brothers we're talking about and their impacts on the world, and where they getting the discipline, where are they getting that from? They both getting it from their daddies, and you see how the reverberation of the discipline, strict or otherwise, is no different than you in the military. You head of household. You're doing what you're doing to push your people further. But you see how their teachings vibrated not just with Michael and Prince, but then who Michael and Prince influence. And it just keeps going and going and going. The people who are influenced by these brothers are really being influenced by their daddies. And to me, this is where you see why these men vilified throughout the years, and you can understand why. Like, because they understand how influential those men, strong men like that, are to this world.
Right.
And to me, these guys are the perfect examples of it. Their instructors are shown as the villains, but their instructors are the ones who make them who they are, and why they love them, or why we love them. Even the same with the mothers too. I mean, you can't forget Catherine. You can't forget Princess. The name escapes me. Maddie, excuse me. But you can't also. You have to take in what that meant to them too. Like, I always saying, part of Prince is not only his dad, but the effects of, how a boy may feel that his mom is sort of choosing other situations other than him. Mm-hmm. How that affects him as well. And Michael Jackson, he's got both parents there, but being raised as the superstar your whole life, but you still got to answer to. And that's why, real quick, that's why I love that trailer when they show that part where Joe was like, "Well, I told you what the
there you go. I told you what to think."
Now, see, some people are gonna look at that, and it's funny. You can watch how the trailer's tone shifts for a quick second and shows Michael. Well, I got now. For some people, yeah, this is where it starts. The abuse. Now I watch that and be like, "Oh yeah, that's my daddy. That's my granddaddy. He was the head of the house. We didn't have no opinions.
Right.
We had to do what they say, for better or worse." But I think it showed to me, and I'm very curious to see how it plays out. And I love that as a black man that's directing this movie, I'm curious how they will really frame that in the totality of the movie, to show that relationship and what it means. But they obviously letting you know that, yeah, this does play important into what's about to be shown to you, because they make a point to show you that in the trailer, and it stops when you see that. So I say all that to say, going back to what D'Angelo said, what you were saying, yeah, man, the dads, their parents were always the keys behind why they made choices to do what they do.
Yeah. And I would say that, yeah, so yes. And I think a lot of times, just stressing the nuance of it, like I could talk for days about how great my father. So my mother and father were divorced when I was 1 year old. My father would drive 3 hours to see me on a Wednesday, Brother Dean, when he was gonna see me on Friday, propped up. Like, who does that? Like, I remember when he would do it. I'm gonna be honest, when he would do it, I got to be about 11 to 12. I remember he did that. He showed up, and I was like, yeah, I ain't gonna never love nobody that much. Like, I was never gonna love anybody enough to drive 3 hours. And he would get out the car, and I would go, because it was Wednesdays, not the weekend, because he was gonna come get me and take me to the Jackson State game on the weekend. And so I would be like, something wrong? Somebody did. And he would literally look at me and go, I just wanted to see my son. And I felt bad, because I was like, yeah, I don't want to see nobody that bad, Daddy, just so you know. I don't want to. But Now, so that's the me, the great father, great man. But here's the flip side. Because divorce creates separation, I had to teach myself how to tie a tie. So here was a man doing the best that he could, driving 3 hours to see his son. Why? Because he's consciously thinking about, I want to be there for my son. But even divorce as a situation, I do think about, I learned how to tie a tie from an Ebony magazine article. I remember Ebony had an article. That's how I learned. It was an Ebony magazine article. And so for me then, having both, eventually having a stepson and a grandson, one of the things that I wanted to make sure was they knew how to tie a tie. So that's me reacting to the one negative thing. That's not me saying my father was bad, but that's me knowing like, hey, because of the absence, I had to teach myself how to tie a tie. Let me make sure I pass this on. So I just think that those kind of nuanced things don't get discussed. All right, I'll shut up.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna do a deeper video on that, because what you just said about when we don't have those things in our home, we'll learn them from other things.
Yep.
And I'll tie in and say, like, with Prince, it's some of Michael Jackson too, but for me, like, not having the dad, I'm not gonna say them niggas was my dad, but I learned a lot watching other people, and people like that were so influential to us in the 80s. Seeing how they moved, and like Prince saying, like, I'm not drinking, and I'm not, I sort of take on these, oh, okay, that's the way you're supposed to do. Or Michael Jackson, no, I don't do any drugs. Oh, okay, that's why he's dope. Okay, so again, we start taking, or at least I would start taking on even some of the teachings they dads taught into them, still came through, and I started, I picked up on some of those things because I didn't have that at home, but I could see they were successful. They were dope, and they was having these same sort of morals or whatever, but also picked up maybe some of the other stuff that when you don't have a parent, you might pick up those, issues as well, right? And if you can't watching Prince, you might, with a magazine, what is that all about? I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, but it just goes to show, the influence. Anyway, I'm you. That's all I gotta say.
All right. So we're gonna move on to our next date, which is Monday, February 10th, 1986. I'm going to read this one. It's Kiss overdubs, vocals, mix, copies, multiple cues for Under the Cherry Moon score, tracking likely including Christopher Tracy at piano, a little possessive, don't you think? And Mary.
I love that line.
Wow.
I love that line. It's one of my favorites.
But you know what you got to do is him talking back to the answer machine. Well, you weren't with anybody? Yes. Where were you? With me. Oh, that's a great. Go ahead. All right, go ahead.
Me too. So Sunset Sound Studio 3 likely booked, locked out. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Coke Johnson. This is a quote from Susan Rogers. When we weren't touring, everything consisted of pretty much what was happening in the studio because that's the only place he was. Unless he was at an award ceremony or something like that, especially during this period. Work continued on the movie score with several cues composed or performed, including the drums for Mary Sharon's drum solo at her party, and I can hear it. Do, do,
Wow.
do, 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 do. It is so crazy how I can read something or see something, and like the movie just starts going and playing in my head. I can hear it. Michael understands. The piano elements from An Honest Man at the beginning of the movie, and a little possessive, don't you think? Which I can't say without saying it, don't you think? Which was a variation on Do You Lie, played during the scene when Isaac leaves a message on Mrs. Wellington's answering machine.
Because I'll kill him. You know what? Maybe it's just me. I know I'm always, maybe it's just me. Brother D, did you get them when this I kill him? Prince, like, then Prince hit you with this, then he hit you that hood like, that old motherfucker ain't gonna do shit. Like, now, maybe it wasn't just me. Look, he went with,
like, yeah, right.
Like, who you gonna kill? You better get your boys to kill somebody.
That's funny, silly. Oh my God. Okay. Additional work was also done on Kiss with Maserati's Tony Christian and Marvin Gunn brought in to add additional background vocals.
Wow, so this is a monumental session
Yeah.
A couple of reasons. One, LL Cool J, and I can't think of the other person, but this is the session that they grabbed their drums for. Marley Marl, I wanted to say, Jiggling Baby, which was a big, they're using the drums, that part where he's playing the drums for Mary Sharon, they sampled that in that song. There's another hip hop song that uses it too. But so it's interesting, like even years later, this a monumental session is being used. And say it again.
Is it Biz Markie?
I think it might be.
Yeah, Biz
Might be.
Markie. Yeah.
So they're pulling from that, and I can only imagine how these brothers from Maserati must have felt, from something that was originally their song, and then now we need you to come back in and sing backup. Like,
back up on my song.
Okay, but yeah, this is fascinating.
And just kind of to slightly go down that rabbit hole. If anybody who got the newsletter this week, I put in a clip of LL Cool J's 2024 interview from the Breakfast Club. It is the best statement. It's a 2-minute statement about why artists and considering yourself an artist is important. And as y'all know, I'm probably the least hip hop person on the planet. But when I heard him talk about, he basically was saying that I wasn't interested in being a CEO. I wasn't interested in being a manager. I wasn't interested in being a mogul. I was interested in being an artist. Why? Because Pablo Picasso is an artist. Prince is an artist, right? He named all. He said, by the way, CEOs want to hang with artists. Artists don't want to hang with CEOs. So if you ever just get a chance, there are like snippets of it online. But yeah, I would give props. I'm glad you brought it up, to give props to LL Cool J for talking about why it's important that young children value being an artist. All right, that's it.
I think that's actually a really important statement. I'm going to have to watch that and seek that out because, and I'm going to stop. I won't be very long. For a very long time there in higher ed, at least, there's been a push towards STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. And anytime that I'm on a STEM panel, the first thing that comes out of my mouth is STEAM, and STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And so I find it really interesting that there's been this push for STEM. They're taking music out. They've been taking music out of schools, taking art out of the school. And it's so, creativity and self-expression is so important. And, I don't know, just this idea of being an artist, which is very different from being an influencer, which, seems to be kind of like what a lot of young people gravitate towards. But I love that the integrity of an artist and the importance of an artist in society. And we need artists now more than ever. And it just really saddens me as we come towards 10 years of Prince not being on the planet. Prince needs to be here right now. I think it's so important that, artists are a reflection, reflects what's going on in society. And I don't know who those artists are right now when it comes to music, in terms of being a true reflection. We had Marvin, we had Prince, and it's just it's so important. So I'll finish with my rant.
So, but what's important that you say that is because when people say, when you make that kind of statement, or even the estate puts something out like that, there's always some idiot in the comments, or somebody who's saying that no, that wouldn't be. And we forget Prince wrote Baltimore. And I want to bring this up because you said what we need today. Prince wrote Baltimore, and then I remember they backlash because there were a lot of hip hop fans complaining that who's the artist speaking to this, and what's the guy? Not Kendrick. What was the other guy who was kind of equal to Kendrick?
Drake.
Not Drake. The other guy who was gonna be in the beef, but after that,
J. Cole.
J. Cole actually made a statement that said, "I ain't that kind of artist." So I remember when a lot of fans were like, "Who are the artists meeting this political moment?" And J. Cole said, "Hey, I'm sorry that I didn't disappoint you, but that ain't who I am." And so my argument is always, maybe if people supported the political artists more, you would have more of those political artists when these moments happen. And so, to your point, we tend to support the party artists. We tend to support all the other kind of artists. And then the political artists don't really get that support. Yet, when moments like this happen, you're screaming for them. And so, bringing my final point back around, Prince wrote Baltimore. In a time when you needed a song like Baltimore written, Prince wrote Baltimore. And so, like you, I think that he would be writing whatever song or thing happening today, because that's what he did his entire career. I'll shut up.
All right. So, Celie, I see you got your book in hand. So, if you don't mind reading Tuesday, February 11th, page 3.
If you can, see and read instead of sing and dance. All right. Tuesday, February 11th, 1986. Wednesday, February 12th, 1986. Rehearsals for Kids video shoot. Laird International Studios, the Culver Studios. You want the quote?
Yes.
And this quote is from Rebecca Blake. When Prince's manager called and asked me to direct Kiss, the first thing out of my mouth was, I'd like to speak to Prince first, and I'm not doing it unless I can bring in my own hair, makeup, models, and choreographer. A few minutes later, Prince called me. He was charming. The conversation was brief, and there was a lot of giggling on his end. End quote. The work on these, the Prince giggling. I really want to know what that conversation was about, right? The work on these days was largely spent lighting and rehearsing for the video, which was designed based on conversations between Blake and Prince. Is another quote. I was on a heavy vampire kick. I was into Anne Rice very early, so that's where the black veil over the dancer's head comes from. Prince was brilliant in terms of dance and choreography. You could show him something, and 3 seconds later, he would do it perfectly. No kidding. He came to the set with buttons all over his pants. I said, "What's with the buttons?" He said, "Should have told me you don't like buttons." That's what I love about Prince. He's funnier than people know. I put him next to a 6 foot tall model, and he would give me an expression like, "Are you kidding? Where's my apple box?" and some just a really random note. So the dancer in that video, and I learned this a few years ago, probably about 10 years ago, way after, so 10 years, so way after, I didn't know that the sister in the video was Black Dutch or African Dutch. And I remember doing something in the newsletter, like I didn't know that Black Dutch people existed. I didn't know about Black Dutch people. My mind was blown. And then one of my mentors sent me an email like, "Hey, fool, one of the people who helped start the arts movement in Mississippi was a Black Dutch person. So shut up and correct your newsletter." So just the fact that you learn stuff, because up until that, like I didn't know about Black Dutch. But anyway, so I said if we talk about the rehearsals and the video, again, love the video. Go ahead. What say y'all? Oh, right. I mean, we talked about that though. Go ahead.
All right. I'm going to get Michael, unless Michael has something to say, to start reading the next date. This Thursday, February 13th.
All right. Was it Laird International?
Yeah, I'll
take Laird. I can't remember. Laird.
It might be Laird, but that's the Southerner in me.
I like that. Laird International Studios, the Culver Studios. Quote from Wendy: "The day we did the Kiss video, I remember very well. It was one of the few times the two of us got to spend totally alone. It appears that Prince had been under a lot of stress during the spring, working on Under the Cherry Moon, and having a break from that brought out his more intimate side with Wendy, the only member of the Revolution involved. He was the one who decided at the last minute to use Wendy Melville in the video," recalled Rebecca Blake. "They had great chemistry, and they were funny together. Her facial expressions in that video were perfect. We spent the week just preparing for the video, and then we did the video," reflects Wendy. "What I remember is that it was very calm. It was just very calm. And we were really playful with each other, so there wasn't a lot of pressure. That video shoot didn't have a lot of pressure, and most of them did, and that one just didn't." Sheila and her band were in Los Angeles to record a segment for a Valentine's Day taping of The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, where they played a melody of A Love Bazaar and Mercy for the speed of a mad clown in summer. During the summer, during the second part of the song, Sheila sat behind the drums, a move that made her more of a band member instead of a person in the spotlight, a position that brought out a lot of additional scrutiny. Times like this likely influenced her feelings about needing a change. I wanted to get away from the pressure of being a solo artist, admitted Sheila when reflecting on where she was during this period. It was important for me to get back to playing the drums because I was just tired of having a band and being the one out front all the time. I wasn't thinking that the move was going to affect my career. Prince continued working on the Kiss video during this week. He also approved the interior artwork for the Parade album on this date. After the video was finished shooting, Wendy flew back to Minneapolis where rehearsals were continued. When Prince wasn't available because he was out of town, she would generally be in charge of rehearsing the band. He would get tapes of the progress and make changes remotely if needed, as Lisa recalls. Am I reading this?
Yes.
All right. Sometimes he'd have to leave a week or two and we keep on rehearsing. Well, I need that magnifying glass. We felt like we wanted to really kick some ass. And we were like, we're going to show him. And we'd videotape the rehearsals and he would think it was funny sometimes. I don't remember what song, but we were rehearsing something and kicked the shit out of the song. And then we got to the end of it and Wendy was like, that really sucked, you guys. Let's try it again. Prince loved imitating her, sounding like a little kid. That was horrible. Take it from the top one more time. Prince was like, you guys are harder on yourselves than I am because we were kind of hard on ourselves, especially the vocals. Prince playfully acted this out on stage during the May 23rd, 1986 show in San Francisco when he said, you guys sound like shit in between A Love Bazaar and Kiss.
All right. Thank you, Michael.
So
wait, hold on just 1 second. Vanessa now lives in Culver City. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Okay. We miss you on the East Coast so much. All right, Celie.
So I like the notation that Wendy was added at the last second because it makes me think about something. And so let's think in real time. And I know somebody will probably say a little bit earlier, but the Raspberry Beret video was monumental because it was Prince's first non-performance video. Right? I remember when the Raspberry Beret video came out in real time, people who had been Prince fans for years were going, Prince made a real video.
Yeah.
Like Prince made a real video. And I remember being on the fence about it because people you have to set this up. There's no internet, right? We talked about this. There's no internet. So what you knew about artists visually were album covers, maybe a TV appearance, and if you saw them live. We have to remember that.
Right.
So what I loved as a person who had been going to live shows, right, seeing B.B. King since the age of 6, what I loved about all the Prince's videos up to that point was that he was a performer. That's right, Kim. They showed it every hour for 12 hours on MTV. They showed Raspberry Beret every hour for 12 hours. But that was the first time that Prince had a quote proper video, what we call a concept video, and not a performance video. So what I find interesting is they're clearly shooting this hybrid, right? Thinking about what they're doing, they're clearly shooting this hybrid, right, with the Kids video. And at the last second, Prince pulls in Wendy because he just can't separate himself from the performance element, right? I actually want Wendy to be seen playing the solo. And I think that's really important for people thinking about the kind of artist Prince was always projecting himself to be. He was always projecting himself first and foremost to be a musician, a performer, a songwriter. And that's what I got from that Wendy being pulled in at the last second, that he's still not able to do the total conceptual video. There has to be some element of, hey, I'm a musician, I'm a performer first. I'll shut up.
Mm. Is Kiss the first video? 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 Is Kiss the fir where it's mainly just him? I mean, obviously Wendy is in it and the girl, but I mean,
Well,
like
there's
you were
Well, you
saying,
got
I
I
can't
want to
remember.
be a lover.
Lover.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
kind of almost going back to that almost.
Right,
Like,
right.
Yeah.
interesting. I didn't look at it that way. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting because with the exception of I Want to Be Your Lover, until you get to Kiss, it's pretty much like Celia's saying, it's like the band, it's like live performance. I will say, and for me, it actually kind of happened with When Doves Cry video. Like,
Okay.
I was like, what the H? Like,
Right.
I
That's
was
right.
so
That's right.
used
That's
to-
right.
I was so used to Prince's videos being like live performances, and particularly because he didn't really do a proper US tour for Parade, you know, and he didn't even tour for Around the World in a Day. Like, I was like, give me my live performance video in real time. And that's the reason why the America video is so important. I mean, it's so important on so many levels. You know, I've already always mentioned seeing Prince play live for real, because, you know, you see him play and I Want to Be Your Lover, but you know, it's not, you know, he's like playing to the track or whatever. But knowing that that was live was like mind blowing. But also just seeing him after, like, When Doves Cry, and again, I thought he was veering more towards pop. So seeing the America video let me know, oh, you know, he's still Prince, kind of thing. It was a huge deal. So the Raspberry Beret video also was an interesting one to me because of also the animation that was included.
Right.
And
Right.
it was a little bit more polished. It was more like a real video. And I wasn't really used to that. And I know that some people were, like, they were very excited that Prince finally had a real video. So to
Big
speak.
budget. Bigger
Yeah.
budget for sure.
Bigger budget,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But I don't need so Michael, I know a lot of people hate on the Alphabet Street video. I love me
That
some
video's dope.
Yeah, I love that video. Yeah, I love that video.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, you know, I've talked to some of my filmmaking friends, and they were like, you know, the green screen, the blue screen sucked, whatever it is, but the technology back then
That's where it was. Yeah.
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 But even back then, it was like, even back then, it looked low budget. But I mean, that to me was the appeal of it. Like, I just couldn't imagine the artist
and
of
then
that
when you add-
magnitude seeing him like that, because he just looked clear. I was like, God,
Yeah.
you can really see him in his face. That was great.
And then when you add the hidden messages in the video, right?
Oh,
Looking for the hidden messages. So you had Prince by himself and the hidden messages. And I do remember, like, my uncle hated the video just for that point. My uncle was like, look at that. See that, boy? You don't never know who's gonna be with Prince. That's Prince's problem. You don't never know who's gonna be with him. I was like, no, that's the point. It's Prince, damn it. He a solo artist. So I'm with you. I got to see Prince, the solo artist. But I do want to shout out brother Edgar Cruz. You're right, brother Cruz. He does shout out Wendy in the song. So that could also be why he but and to your point, Prof Duff, with the When Doves Cry video, I think that, so yes, I let me put it this way. I wouldn't argue or push back if somebody said the When Doves Cry video, but I would say the thing about the When Doves Cry video is, while he's not holding a guitar, he is dancing and singing. So that's still a performance. Right. And you get and I think with the Purple Rain videos, it's kind of the transition past because they're selling the movie, so you're gonna get scenes from the movie interspliced in there. So I think that's so. But again, I want to say, anybody who says that the When Doves Cry video would be the first concept video, I don't have a problem with that, because I get where you're coming from. Just that for me, the most important part about that video is the damn dance performance that happens at the end. Because in my mind, and I know people in the chat go crazy and be mad at me, for my mind, when Prince pimped his ass down them steps, he was kicking Michael Jackson in the ass. For me, damn it, I turned into George Jefferson, because in my mind, that damn moonwalk couldn't fuck with nothing that was happening in that Doves Cry dance scene. That's what I got to say. I'm gonna stand on that. Back to y'all in the regular studio. Go ahead on.
I agree, Celie. You know, I agree. I mean, it's like when I also you remind me of the AUT-O-Matic, like the hat tip.
The hat, baby, the hat tip.
The hat tip. Oh my God. Yeah, there's so many. And like Prince could just like do a look. Like he didn't even have to move. He just like all right. Okay. So this so far in 1986, we have 23 studio sessions. And okay. All right. I was hearing something. I'm hearing myself back to myself. So I'm gonna mute you, Celie, and see if it's you. Okay, yeah. I don't know why that started to happen because it was fine before. So we have 23 studio sessions so far in 1986 and 9 new songs total. Again, I didn't count the tracking of the Under Cherry Moon score because Duane wasn't quite sure about the actual songs that were tracked. So if you haven't, I would highly recommend. Sheila's doing the rounds right now, and she had an amazing conversation on Breakfast with Finny on YouTube. So if you haven't checked that out, please do, because we've talked about Sheila. And also, the Tonight Show is that performance from 1986 is in the accompanying playlist. That's all the way at the bottom of my channel. I want to remind everyone that we're mid-February. Mid-April is going to be upon us in no time, and we are so excited. And Celie, I think, is more excited than anybody about celebrating Under the Cherry Moon. I'm so excited that Celie will be able to join us, and we're going to be online on Friday, April 17th, and we'll be in person at NYU, 370 J Street on the 18th and 19th. And I announced last week that I did raise enough money so that there will be a live stream. And I know someone will be super, super happy if they're still in the chat, but we'll see. So I'm going to make that happen because enough of you reached out to me and were like, what? Okay. So to find out more, you can go to the website. The schedule glance has been posted. The speakers have been posted, but still got to connect them to the website. So iwonderyou.polysolid.com is where you find information. And then if you want to pre-register, you need to go to iwonderyou40.substack.com for pre-registration and announcements. And remember, we're having a scorching hot fire performance from the one and only Law at the Cutting Room. April 17th, 2026. I'm so grateful that he agreed to do something to coincide with the symposium so that we can hear some live music. And for those of you who will be in Minneapolis for June for Prince's birthday, the International Center for Prince Studies is having another Prince conference called Dance On, and it's going to be at the University of Minnesota, and they're actually doing a call for presentations. So if you're interested, you can reach out to them at ic4pscontact@gmail.com. I don't have anything to do with this, so don't ask me any questions because I do not know. And you can find their website at International Center, and that's the British spelling of center, number 4, princestudies.com. Then there's also, it's lining up because it's June 1st to 2nd. It's going to go right into Celebration. So if you're going to go for Celebration, you might want to consider going early to take advantage of the conference. Wow. I cannot attend, unfortunately, because I have to lead an AI thing at NYU on the June 1st and 2nd. So I'm really bummed that I won't be able to go to this conference. So you have to report back and let me know how it is. And then, as we know, unfortunately, Troy Gua is still battling cancer. It came back. I'm really, really sorry to hear that. So please send him a kind word. Please contribute to his GoFundMe. The same for Dr. Funkenberry. He's really been in this battle for a while now. So I'm sure that he continues to require your amazing outreach to him. Just, send him a kind word. Don't give up on reaching out to him and contributing to his GoFundMe if you're able to. And the same for Addie Durant. Send a kind word or contribute to her GoFundMe. And Des Dickerson also has a GoFundMe. And I forgot to put a picture here, but I do have a accompanying playlist for this week. And we have a playlist specifically for Ricky, and I'll be adding another episode soon. Probably I'll do the Madhouse 8 one because I started off with the Madhouse 16. I was debating between that or the Jesse Johnson Shakadelica conversation, but I think I'll complete the Madhouse one. And we still miss Ricky. It's so weird for Ricky to not be here, but he is here in spirit. And please donate to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation in memory of Ricky. And a short link to do so is bit.ly/theflesh for the Flesh Sessions, which was one of Ricky's favorite moments in time. All right. So we all, again, hopefully we want to stand with Minnesota. I know that I do. And just be a little kinder to people. You don't know what's going on. There's so much going on right now. So definitely on Valentine's Day, show people some love. Make sure that you have peace in your heart and that, as Prince would want us to say, love God. So with that being said, Michael Dean, are you going to take us out?
Yeah, I was going to just throw a recommendation in there. If you are a fan of music, hip hop, just the culture, you need to check out the Teddy Riley book, Remember the Times. I got the audio book, finished it. Great. It's really good. Especially if you just remember like all this music from back in the day. And it's interesting to hear sort of his
jam.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear from
jam.
his point of view. And, it's fascinating to me. Listening to it, I remember how much of a fan of him that I was, and I remember how much of a fan I really am, and I understand his impact is way stronger than I ever gave it credit for. It's an excellent listen. I wish it was deeper. It's kind of one of those bios where it's not like, I guess it's from him, so he's not going to just go as deep as I want it to be, but it was still fascinating to hear. And he covers most of the bigger moments throughout, but it's interesting to hear the early stuff, the Gene years, the, him having his studio in his mom's apartment on the ground floor in the neighborhood, standing outside, listening to him create and cheering him on and all this. It's just, Bobby Brown having the hood direct him to where he lives, and they, working on My Prerogative in his house and stuff. It's just interesting to hear the Michael Jackson stuff. Him mentioning Prince as an influence to him, to Michael, and Michael's response to that, and what Michael shows him on video. I'm sure you can put together what that is, but it's just interesting to hear from a guy like that, and he has touched so many people. So salute to Teddy Riley. That's what I want to say.
All right, before we stop, so I didn't know that this was a thing. Did you know that this was a thing? Because I'm upset now.
Yeah.
Why did you post this D68A? I was having such a great time today. Started off at Madhouse 7. So D68A is saying that there was a withdrawn Record Store Day release of the Act 2 show. I haven't heard about this. Have you?
Heard about it, but I've heard conflicting stories.
Okay.
Whether or not it was official or not, I don't know. But I guess they were saying the test press. I guess the word is the test press didn't meet the snuff of quality or something.
Okay.
So they pulled it. But again, it's questionable if it was really from legitimate sources or not, but who knows?
Yeah.
It ain't coming.
Okay. And really quickly, I just want to say yes. I did love Guy.
Jam.
That's some petty hate that you got that, brother. Then you got that queued up, ready to show anybody. That's all I'm gonna say. That's some petty hate.
What was that?
That Mike had that queued up to show Teddy. That's some petty hate.
Oh, no, he didn't have it queued up. I'm not saying he had it queued up.
Like Prince, let me show you this.
But he was like, let me show you something.
Right.
And he was like, this was well before it came out to the public.
Right.
All right. Well, unless you got something else.
Let's do it.
Nope. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, D'Angela. Thank you to Celie. Salute to Ted. Salute to everybody in the chat. And yo, if you're in a relationship, yeah, show your other partner some Valentine's love today. I'm not. So I ain't got to do a damn thing. But I do say happy Valentine's Day to all the ladies out there. You know what I'm saying? If I was over there, I would have my rose, you know what I'm saying, bottle of something, and we sit back and have a good time. But with that said, work it like a job. We'll see you next time. Peace.
I want to say one more thing. So let's say, especially for the females out there, I was not in a relationship for a very long time, like over a decade. So what I would do for Valentine's Day is I would actually take myself out. I would have a problem just going out to dinner by myself. And so I would make a big deal of it, and I would buy myself flowers because
love yourself.
Yeah, love yourself. So don't be sad, go out and have a good time. There's always pros and cons to any situation. So take advantage of being single. So, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'm taking advantage. You hear me? I'm taking advantage. Jam.
And I will say, and this will not make me in the greatest light, Brother Dean, during them times when I was single, I would always start getting ready to break up with women around the end of October.
Damn, you was like that on them?
Look here, around the end of October, and I wouldn't start recuffing again till March. So look here, so from November to February, brother couldn't be seen, but right in February.
I see you totally different now. That was a review. He's like, don't let the scholarly church vibes fool you. I go hard on them. Where they at?
I was like, oh, look at the time. It's the end of October.
How many numbers you get?
What is going on? Let me look at baby. Let me see you next year.
It kind of peeks out when you hear Celie get comfortable. It kind of come out. No home train.
All right, we're really gonna leave, but I will end on today would be the perfect day to play Arms of Orion. And with that,
wow,
we are out.